start with a roll call. Jusik Choi,
Here.
Jamie Schreback,
Present.
Stephen Rowland.
Here.
Steve Hunt, present, and James Felton is not with us today. If you'd all could stand with me and we'll observe a moment of silence, and we'd like to keep in our thoughts, of course, all the fire victims down in Los Angeles, and and now that we have a fire burning in Moss Landing, we pray that that's not going to exacerbate and get worse. So thank you. We do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thanks for attending. Happy New Year, everybody. Do we have any special presentations? Nope. Item 5, special announcements and communications from the floor. Nope. Moving right along, consent agenda. So we need to approve last meeting's minutes. Anybody want to make a motion? Motion to approve. I second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. We get to our action items. Appoint a vice chair. We just did that prior to the meeting, and so Jusik has volunteered to do so. Let's make a motion. I'll make a motion to bring in Jusik. And all in favor? Aye. All right, very
Aye.
good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Our newest vice chair, very good. All right, speed study.
Thank you, Commissioner Chair Hunt. I just realized that this agenda under item 5, special announcements and communications from the floor, that makes it seem like it's only coming from staff, but it does allow anybody in the audience that would like to speak, they get 3 minutes at a time. So we can, I assume people are here to say something about something, so we can go back to 5.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So does anybody want to address the commission and with any comments?
Why?
No?
Hi, my name is Mike Kennedy. I'm a resident of Marina. We have 3 topics. One of them is on the agenda. The other 2 is a concern about the new Hilltop Park, the ADA ramp, the gravel ramp, not the stairway, but the gravel ramp. To access it, you need to go across the equestrian trail. It's very sandy, and mothers with their strollers and especially wheelchairs. That's how I learned about it. A resident in the dunes tried to get her husband, who has ADA, up to take the view from Hilltop and couldn't get across the sandy equestrian trail right at the base of the DG ramp.
Where is this exactly, Mike?
Oh, I'm sorry, Hilltop, the new Hilltop Park, right along 8th Street.
Okay,
At
okay.
the
Gotcha.
dunes.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
the-
you.
Yeah. I did mention it to Mayor Bruce when they had the powwow at the First Avenue, what is it, the warehouse, and made him aware of it. So maybe there's already
There's
some-
still a lot of construction going on over there, correct?
Yeah, but that horse trail is on a parcel that's being maintained by the Dunes
Okay.
HOA, but it's really not an HOA issue, nor is it a, Shea Homes issue. It kind of is a
A city issue?
gray area.
Okay.
Gray area. And the other concern is on Jetty Street, which used to be 10th, which is between the small businesses across from Target and the new rooftop condominiums that are going in. At one, before those rooftop condominiums were built, it was just, as you know, just a big empty field where barracks used to be. But now there's residential units going in that will soon be occupied, plus all the traffic from the new Trader Joe's. There's a lot of pedestrian traffic crossing Jetty. At one time, there used to be crosswalks painted there probably, decades ago. Those are all, worn away. So there's going to be a lot more foot traffic crossing Jetty. And maybe there could be some dialogue about at least painting crosswalks if, probably a stop signs out of them, maybe too much, but something for visibility because cars are parked right along the curb. You try to cross that street and you're, not seen. So anyway.
Okay, great.
Thank
Thank you. Any other comments? from anybody? Okay. All right.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. And I made notes of both of those items, so we'll get both of those addressed. So next item on the agenda is the speed study. As I mentioned last month, that speed study is coming. Tonight's just a quick update. It's moving along at our next commission meeting on February 20th. Kimley Horn, the engineering firm that's working on that speed study, will be here. And what they're going to do is they're going to present the current methodologies for establishing speed limits. And as I mentioned last month, the way it used to be, you set out traffic counters and you grabbed 100 vehicles in an hour, and the speed limit was set based on the 85th percentile. It was a federally established rule. Caltrans endorsed it, and that's just the way it was. So if 85% of drivers are driving 45 and you want the speed limit 25, it's just going to be 45, and council didn't have a whole lot of power to change that. So that has changed. There's a little bit more wiggle room, and I don't fully understand it. So next month on the 20th, we'll have the engineers here to explain the new methodologies, the way new speed limits are set. If they have the data for the current speed study, they'll bring that night as well. Otherwise, it'll be at the March meeting. So this is a good thing. Council will now finally have some discretion on adjusting speed limits. And again, I don't know the exact rules or how far they can go away from the 85th percentile, but there is some discretion now.
Are these on our arterials or collectives or both?
So normally the speed studies are done on roads that do not have prima facie speeds. Residential streets, interior residential streets are 25 miles an hour no matter what. So normally what is studied is arterials, major collectors, and minor collectors, because those are the roads that can be 30, 35, 45, 65. Those are normally the streets that are studied. I have a map. The consultant will bring it next month, but I could probably share that map with. We can send that out to the commissioners in the email, so just so you have that, you can take a look at it, and that shows the streets that are being studied.
Quick question: Are we expecting there to be changes? Or
I've only been here for 6 weeks in Marina, so I don't know what the expectation is. I know that back home, where I'm from, it took years. I was telling somebody the other day, I was at another city for 19 years, and in those 19 years, I had to respond in some way to 8 or more. There's 8 that I can recall, vehicle versus pedestrian fatalities, and thank goodness I never had to respond. I got there after the scene had already been cleared, but trying to find solutions to make sure it didn't happen again. It was just, it's not fun. So I worked hard with our engineers. We did a lot of projects. We narrowed road lanes. Some people in newer neighborhoods might not like the narrow lanes, but that's to slow traffic down. The bulb outs at corners, different things that are going on, all of it is intended to slow traffic down. Roundabouts, I love them. Some people hate them, but roundabouts, they're all intended to slow traffic down. And they're also intended to daylight pedestrians. So put pedestrians in places where they're easier to see by vehicles, excuse me. Need to get some water, but so in that city, we had several roads where we wanted speeds to slow down, and we did projects to get that to happen. I'm not sure what Marina wants and where. So it's likely that traffic, if the last study was done 5 years ago, I would assume that Imgen Parkway is speeds have increased, which means if people's habits have increased, that according to the old methodology, the 85th percentile, we would just automatically raise the speed limits. If engineers and accident history has determined that that's not wise, now council has some discretion in keeping it what it is or lowering it.
I have another question then. I wonder, does Marina have a listing or a way to track high accident areas?
Yes and no. Our police department responds to all accidents, and they record all accidents in most use a software database called TIMS, and I forget what TIMS stands for, but traffic incident management system, I think. And so they're all tracked. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, they're definitely tracked.
Thank you.
Is that it for speed study?
That's it for
Okay,
me.
so
for
we'll
speed
learn
study.
more next meeting.
Yeah,
right?
you can ask the public if they have comments on this item.
Okay, anybody have any questions regarding the speed study? All right. It'll be interesting to see what streets they choose. You know, I'm thinking on the surface, there's the arterials, Del Monte Reservation and the old lower 48,
Yeah.
right? That's about it.
Mhm.
And then you have the collectives, I'm guessing, are Rheindaler and Carmel, but then now California, Imgen, Second is another
Second.
one between Light Fighter and Imgen.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what roads they choose to do the study on.
Yeah, I want to say Marina Heights, I think was on the list.
Really? Oh, interesting.
I think it's a minor collector, so it could be on the list. My guess, though, is that the speeds there will be slow enough that council would be able to keep it at, or I think it's 25 now. I'm sure council can keep
Yeah.
it there.
You've got a couple roundabouts up
Yeah.
there too, keeping it in check. Okay. Well, good. We'll look forward to that next three. So item C under action items, road closure notification protocol.
Yeah, so this item here, when I first got here, there was people that came to council meetings and were calling and leaving messages saying that they did not know that they were having a road closure that affected them. I'm not sure what the protocol has been. What we want to do is just have a conversation about what you'd like to see in a protocol. Social media notification, city website, newspapers. Problem is nobody reads newspapers anymore. Just those kinds of things. What kind of duration you'd like to see for changeable message boards to be put out on a road before we close down another street. Those kinds of things. Just give us ideas so that we can do our best to give the public adequate warning.
I think I can tell you what the protocol has been in the past. You turn down the road, you find a sign that says it's closed. You've been noted. You've been served. Go that way. So, this is actually, you know, part of Marina Heights was closed off of Imgen unbeknownst to anybody that lives in Sea Haven, that part of it. But the tools that I see people using to communicate are next door, Facebook, you know, Instagram and the other social media sites. I don't see really too much community going on with TikTok, but I'm not familiar, and who knows what's going to happen with the future of that platform anyway. I think you mentioned something about signs, the temporary type road signs. Um, the digital, or is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, changeable message
I
boards.
think
Yes.
that, you know, I think that would be something worth exploring, yeah, because those could be posted several weeks in advance or whatever determined time in advance on the routes, especially if they are arterial type routes or major collectors, that would influence and change the time it takes people to access Highway 1 during the commute hours or going to drop off children at school, for example. So, what do we need to do to check into that and see? Because, you know, I realize that would be another expense.
So depending, what we'll do is we'll look into some standards that other cities have. Typically, if it's an arterial, we put changeable message board. My habit in the past before coming here anyway, changeable message boards 2 weeks in advance of a closure, letting traffic know that this is going to be closed from this date to this date, and that's pretty much what Caltrans uses as well. If there's an emergency water leak, then there's not going to be notification, but there should definitely be advance warning signs, so you don't drive 3 blocks before you find the road closure. You're notified two blocks in advance that there's a road closure up ahead. I think that would be helpful for people. But yeah, we'll look into some standards. We'll bring back an idea to you. It'll be laid out, outlined, and you can review it and give us further comments until we all agree and refine it to something that we feel will work for our community.
So I have a comment regarding the message boards. I'm all in favor of that because that is readily apparent to the people that are most involved in that area.
Mhm.
I may not travel there. And so the social media is good, but it's informational for me. But the message board is right to the people that are actually involved in traversing those roads. So I'm greatly in favor of message boards. Yeah, good.
I was thinking the context of the construction that we're doing, it really didn't dawn on me in case of an emergency, a fire, or water leak, like you said. So, yeah, having something that because if you need to inform people on something that just happened 30 minutes ago, those platforms are not going to be timely.
Yeah.
But if you have a sign maybe strategically placed a mile, quarter mile, where there's an alternative route somebody can take, that would be helpful versus going all the way up to the point of the closure and then having to figure it out, turn around, whatever that may look like from there.
Social media platforms have worked. I've seen them work well in the past. I'll give you an example. We have the Martin Luther King Jr. Event that's going on this coming Monday at the library, and we're closing Seaside basically from the traffic circle or from the roundabout all the way through. So yeah, that's something that we would have liked to have had a nice map put together and posted that on social media starting 2-3 weeks ago and let people know. There's not a whole lot of traffic going to the library, so it's not going to affect anybody, but it's still, at least for something like that, yeah, it's nice for people to know what to expect when they get to that area.
And for events like that that are calendarized and in the future, those would be excellent platforms.
Yeah.
If something happened 2 hours ago or 30 minutes ago, maybe, you know, the road signs would be the way to go.
Mhm.
So yeah, we'll look into it. Look forward to hearing from
Sounds
more on
good.
that.
Yeah, we'll bring a report back on that.
Item D is the streetlight maintenance program. Oh, I'm sorry. You have to, we're all learning together. In fact, I'm interviewing for my job tomorrow by the way, just so you know. I may not be here next month. I don't know. Oh, you'll be the chair. But, yeah, right, yeah. Don't contact the printer, yeah. So with regards, folks, to the road closure protocol, any comments, concerns from anybody? Okay. And so item D is the streetlight maintenance program. If you could give us an update.
Yeah, so this is something new here. When I got here, just a conversation I was having with the city manager and a couple staff members. They had noticed driving around at night that there was a lot of lights out. So we had staff go out and do an inventory at night, and we found 193 street lights out in the city marina. That's quite a bit for a city this size. 20, 30 out at a time is pretty normal because they go out regularly. But yeah, 193 is a lot. Of that 193, 131 were city street lights that are not working. 6 city street light poles have been hit by vehicles in the past, or maybe just weather damage and fell over. So 6 lights are completely missing that need to be put up. PG&E had 53 street light poles not working and 1 missing street light pole. So total 193. And just reporting to the commission that we did find that, and we're working to get that taken care of. We reported all of PG&E street lights to them. And out of 53 lights, we got back 30 something responses saying these aren't ours. So now we have to go to our government affairs reps and argue with them that these are definitely their lights. Usually it's just a discrepancy in poll numbers. Either our maps are wrong or theirs are. So we'll work, but we're doing weekly follow-ups with PG&E to get those done. As far as the city-owned street lights, we've already repaired about 20, 25 of them. And next month we'll bring a more detailed count for you guys. But we're doing those just as much as we can to get those light. If it's just a light bulb, it's a piece of cake. If it's a fuse, it's a piece of cake. If we replace everything and they're still not working, then there's a broken wire somewhere, and those aren't fun. But I would guess that out of 131 lights that we have out, we might only have 2 or 3 that require an electrician to take a look at them. The rest should be pretty simple. Timing wise, my guess would be that it would take us 3 or 4 months to get all these 193 repaired. I found out something unusual. Mayor Pro Tem Vischer emailed and asked about streetlights, and so we looked into it, and some of her questions threw me off because it's something I wasn't expecting. But apparently here, there's Sea Haven and the Dunes. The HOAs are responsible for streetlights inside their subdivision. Something I'm not used to, so trying to get a little bit more detail on that and the best way to get them to make those repairs. My guess would be they'd do it pretty quickly, but yeah, just a different situation. So everything else outside of those 2 subdivisions is either the cities or PG&E's.
So I have a question. Two parts. Is there sufficient budget to do this backlog? It appears to be a backlog, maintenance issues. And then is there a change going forward so that it would be done on a periodic basis?
Yes. So a couple of things. Number one, we'll get the current backlog fixed. Like I said, my guess is we can get it done in 3 to 4 months. Moving forward, we're going to do regular night inspections. Once we get our social media notification platforms working, we plan to notify the public on the right way to notify us or PG&E if there's a street light out. So we're going to be, this is going to be a regular program as opposed to a reaction whenever there's a complaint.
Excellent.
The second part of Steve's question was actually mine. So we don't really have a streetlight maintenance program in place right now, but you'll put one together once you go in arrears and pick everything up.
That's correct.
Okay, excellent. I think that's obviously something I'm kind of blown away that we didn't have.
Yeah.
But I have seen those dark streets. I live on one that has a couple of lights out.
I was told there were no street lights working at all on the road that the high school is on. I forget the name of that street. Yeah. Okay. So today I was told they were all working. Our staff got all those done. So that's and now that I said that, I'll probably drive by and another one went out since then.
Well,
But
that's- You know, this time of year in the
Yeah.
morning, that's important. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And with
Um,
regards to the associations, Dune, Sea Haven and so forth, are there any expectations that we have with them? In other words, if they're responsible or they are responsible for those lights, are they supposed to remedy that within a certain window of time, or is it, you know, somebody
I would guess that that's in their CCNRs. Yeah, we wouldn't know. We don't have a whole lot to do with it. If a resident, and now those two HOAs, I mean, those are really nice neighborhoods. My guess is they're on top of everything already, but if for some reason they took too long to fix something and a resident came to us, we would definitely get involved.
Okay.
No? So now we know why why they're here. Yeah. 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 Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I just actually, Councilmember Vischer, I just got the email yesterday, so I was going to get that to you this week. Yeah. So definitely going forward, we'll have an established program. We're working on durations. I'm not sure how often to have a nightly inspection. Yeah, I'll have to talk to staff. I've worked where our street sweeper operator came in at 4 o'clock in the morning, so he noticed them because it was still dark at that time. He started work at 4 o'clock. Here, that we don't have anybody starting that early. We'll talk to the police department, fire department, and then see when they're out on their patrols if they could just let us know. Once we get the citizen engagement app working, that's going to make things really easy because people will be able to just open up their phone and report a street light out on their app, and we'll get the notification for that.
I was just going to bring that up because that would be a great tool for the neighborhoods to, you know, take control of their own reporting in their neighborhoods, right? That'd be an excellent tool.
Yeah. So PG&E, before cities started taking streetlights on, I started in government 20 years ago, and at that time our city had 3,000 streetlights and like 20 were the cities. Now that same city owns 500 streetlights, so things are changing. But you go to PG&E's website and front page, there's a spot, report a streetlight out. Click on it and it asks you for some basic information and you fill it out. It takes about 20 seconds and you get an email response saying we received your request. A week later, you get a response saying it's been taken care of. So that's the way it should work. The problem is that, you know, there's a lot of streetlights that are owned by the city, and here in Marina, apparently 2 neighborhoods that are handled by the HOAs. So you'll likely get a response in those areas from PG&E saying that it's not our problem. So
I have a question. Do you have a ballpark as to how many lights the city is responsible for?
I don't. That's another piece of information that I'm working on gathering, along with how many of our lights are LED and how many are not. We want to convert them all to LED, but there's good and bad things with that. The lighting is better. It's clearer. It's a white light as opposed to a yellowish light that comes off of high pressure sodium bulbs. The problem is it's about $1,500 to convert each street light, and if we have 500, that's a sizable amount. So what we plan to do is we're looking at our inventory, and depending on what that is, we're going to go to council with a budget item requesting an annual allotment for LED conversions. And we'll just convert as many as we can with that budget every year until the entire city's converted.
questions from the floor? Please.
Good evening, Commissioners, and Mr. Fernandez, welcome. Appreciate that. I'm Steve Barnett. I live at 244 9th Street in the Dunes. My wife and I have lived there since 2017. I just want to say on the streetlight issue, which is why we're here, this has been years in the making or in the demise. And we've just watched I'm speaking particularly of the frontage along Second Street at the Dunes and in the median strip and down 9th Street from Second Street towards Phase 3 and towards the freeway in that area. There are some issues within the Dunes, but we have watched light fixtures go out, never to be replaced. We have watched flashing lights. There's 3 that I know of right now. This for years. I don't know how people in apartments or other places and neighbors stand that, but and then we've seen, I know Mr. Fernandez said there's only 6 or 7 lights missing in the city. Well, half of them have to be along our frontage. And whether they've all been for accidents, I don't know. I know there's been an accident or 2, but when those lights are gone along Second Street, they're not replaced. They're just, there's an orange cone there and there's nothing. So when you look at 8th Street on one end and the Montage on the other end, there is a street light working at the Montage right there at that driveway, and there's one on 8th Street and nothing functional between. Nothing. There have to be at least 3 missing light fixtures in there. One that's non-functioning. In the median strip, there are dual fixtures in front of the Dunes. One of them, both sides, is non-functioning. The other one is one side's functioning. I mean, it's just, it couldn't be worse. And again, this has been going on for years. And if you go down 9th Street towards the freeway, towards Phase 3, past the apartments and all that, it's really just a hodgepodge of things that are working, not working, lights that are flashing. And it's been really frustrating. And so finally I did send Elizabeth lives in our community, and I finally sent an email to her in November. And I think she let me know what the status was. We had a director coming on to Public Works. And so she said she would forward that on. And I appreciate very much the response. I appreciate quantifying the issue, assessing the issue, moving forward on making the corrections that can be made now. I'm not saying we deserve more. I'm just saying our situation, I don't know the rest of the city, our situation, considering the amenities around there and what's being done across the street and some of that, trying to sell these $2 million places, it's pretty dire as far as streetlights go. And so here I am. We do have some lights that are out in the Dunes. Mike is on our HOA board. So if there's something in the Dunes that needs to be corrected, I'm not aware of the responsibility within the Dunes. I'll let somebody else answer to that. But it's nothing extreme within the Dunes that I'm aware of, but along the frontage especially, and then down 9th Street, those areas, and a little bit on 8th Street as well. That's just all I have to say. So it's been a long time in the making. I don't expect it to be resolved right away. And I know it'll take some money to replace missing fixtures, but I appreciate drawing a line in the sand and pushing back the other direction. And hopefully all these can be corrected, and then we can get a maintenance program, and this can be an ongoing thing. And we're not dependent upon citizens, just, you know, if nobody complains and there's nothing we need to do. I did over 30 years in code enforcement. I told my wife when I retired, I said, I've been taking complaints my whole life. I'm not going to be a complainer. But it's like, enough is enough. I've served on the civil grand jury in another county. This isn't a sexy subject, but it's worthy. It's like, how do you get to this point? I mean, it's extreme. So I appreciate the response. Thank you.
I wouldn't characterize it complaining either, by the way. You know, I think it's just, it's bringing to light.
We purpose not to, we walk everywhere on a daily basis, and we pick up everything.
Yeah.
And I won't even begin to tell you the things we pick up, but we've been doing it for years. And it's just to make a difference and to keep things, and if nothing else, the place is burning down, it's going to be clean.
Right.
And so we do our part with that. But on this subject, it's like, enough is enough. So I appreciate it and appreciate your work so far. Thank you.
Any other comments?
My name is Mike Kennedy, a resident of the Dunes. And in the interest of time, I just want to echo what Steve said. You know, I lived here also since 2017. And then just along Second Street, there's a totally missing lamp pole. You go down by Montage, completely missing. you turn left on Imjin going east, there's one or two before you get California. There's a number of just missing lamp poles. You look down 9th toward the ocean, there's 2 lamps just blinking all throughout the night. So I greatly appreciate that this is finally being quantified and worked on. And just one caveat about the dunes, they are HOA maintained except along the horse trail bike path. Those are parcel LM all the way from 2nd to the equestrian center. The sidewalk lights are actually city maintained. It took me about a year, almost 2 years to finally get them ironed out. The city was telling us, no, they're HOA. So I got Shay involved. They went through their blueprints and it was determined that the sidewalk lights along 9th Street are city maintained. The rest of the lights may be HOA maintained.
A question for you. So when you say that the fixtures are missing, what do you mean exactly?
They're just- it's
Were they
just,
knocked down?
Yeah, for example, in front of 2002 Boardwalk, which is parallel with 2nd Street, it's just a stump. The whole metal, apparatus pole is just gone.
Okay.
And there's a number, there were a pole was recently knocked down by the Starbucks, that road, that Stillwell. That's missing in front of Montage. It's just missing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just took one out, put in the street light across the street of Joe's. And they laid the light on the ground. I thought maybe they're gonna move it over and put it where the one that's missing. Because it was kind of maybe a conflict with the street light. And then it just disappeared.
Yeah, I think the developer picked it up, I think.
I mean.
We notified the superintendent. I think the developer came and picked it up. So, and I think Ishmael just got here, Mr. Hernandez just got here, but I've been here almost 3 years. And so, and I remember that we put it on the developer that they covered 9th Street. Right, because the city did think that the developer was covering 9th Street. And we went back and forth and our engineer had been here like 15 years, right? Our contracted engineer, because we don't have a city engineer currently, he's contracted, but he's been here longer than most of our employees. And he was like, no, it's on the developer. And we pulled the contracts and we're sitting here and it wasn't, they're not, it's on the city. And we weren't gonna do it because we were like, no, it's on the developer. And we're going back and forth. And finally we pulled the contract and it is on the city. And that's why we hadn't done the lights on 9th Street yet. And finally it was like, okay, we're doing the 9th Street. And finally it was back on the city. And so now our streets team went back and we're contracted to do it. And he's here now and now we're doing it.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
and we're finally doing it. And it's back.
He's
to the city.
here. Finally.
It's just taken this long for us to do it. So, that's what's taking us so long.
I don't know if I'm allowed to do this. Lisbeth Visser, resident of Marina, but streetlights, I cannot keep quiet. So just some background. I also worked 3 years at Sea Haven as the HOA on-site manager. And when I started working there, I noticed quite a few lights not working. So I started doing regular inspections at night. And yes, it took a long time to get them all fixed. And also, same issue. Is it city? Is it PG&E, HOA? And some lights were not even in a system, even not in PG&E system, or they were in the system. No, they couldn't even find them. Nobody was paying for the electricity. So it took a while. And then as a result, the HOA now is paying. But anyway, so, and lights disappearing, coming to work and suddenly there's another light gone. And yeah, I had been picked up already, look like, no, it's gone. Okay. And those are very expensive. But I thought might be good to have stickers on each light. Might be too optimistic. I don't know. With a QR code or at least something to indicate who is responsible. But if a resident notices a light out, they can do their phone on the QR code. But of course, there's always the risk that it will be old information after a while. But I hope that the software might help with that. But just here to say thank you so much. As a new council member, I addressed this. I found an email from 2 years ago, and I'm just thrilled that it's now going to be addressed. So thank you.
Any more comments? So it sounds like when you opened this piece, you mentioned there were 193 lamps that were missing, broken out, flashing, what have you. And I'm assuming that these lights are part of those 193. Will you have, once you've identified, so there's a lot of things in play here, right? Is whose responsibility are they? Those need to be identified. I think that's a great idea, some sort of a QR code or a number. So if we use the app, somebody can say light QR7 or or scan the QR code. I don't know, what would be the best way there, and if a QR code would actually withstand the foggy weather, but something spray painted probably would. So identifying once, and then number one, will you try to prioritize then, because to their point, and that area continues to grow. In fact, I just toured the rooftops earlier this week with Josh Miller, and he told me that he's already sold 551 of the 1,000 units that they're building and going to be selling, over half of them.
Yeah.
And so people haven't started to move in yet. They have, but they're not here yet. So that traffic is only going to get worse by day and by night. And now with, Brass Tap in full swing, eventually La La Grill and El Chorrito are going to be in full swing. So which is going to bring more people from the South County and the North County and lower 48 of Marina as well. So I'm hoping that there's some way to prioritize Patton Parkway, where the kids are walking to school, is a high priority. And the other thoroughfare where the kids are walking to get to school. So is that something that you've kind of thought about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, these 193, my goal is to get them all done within, or at least an answer within 3 to 4 months. And by what I mean by an answer is knowing what the problem is and who's responsible, and at least having parts ordered and a schedule in place. And then it's just going to be regularly inspecting the city at night and trying to find any lights that are out or not working. Last night when I left the Target area there on General Stillwell Drive, I'm waiting for the green light, and at second, and the lights were on and they just went off. So, intermittent issues like that are a problem, because our staff could drive by and see them on, and the lights turn off once the guys are home and enjoying their dinner. But once we get the app going and people can report those to us, I have had situations in the past where people have said, hey, this light's not working, and we've gone out and looked and it's working just fine. We call them back and we ask them what time of the day was it. Matter of fact, one particular light that I dealt with, it was solar powered, and every time our staff went and looked at it, it was on. And so we asked the person what time of day they were. It was actually a pedestrian crossing button that flashes when you cross the street. So they said, well, we check it. We go in the morning when I walk to McDonald's to get my coffee. So when we went in the morning, sure enough, it was off. And what was happening is when we checked it at 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the solar had charged the battery and the lights were working fine. But the batteries weren't holding their charge. So overnight, the charge would drop. And when these people use it in the morning to go get their coffee at McDonald's, the lights weren't working. So we finally found the solution, but there's intermittent issues, and we'll just do everything we can and follow things. So I have a philosophy on customer service, and that's customer service isn't just please and thank you and shaking people's hand, making them feel good. It's the follow up and making sure that we do everything we can to reach a resolution. So we'll definitely work on that.
If any of these folks did want to follow up, are you available for them?
Yeah. So I will, sorry about that. I'll see me after the meeting, and I will give you you didn't have to do that. I'll give you my contact information, and you can, anybody can email me. And we can, my kids are all grown and out of the house, so I actually check my work emails all evening and weekends and vacations and stuff. It's something I enjoy doing. But I don't respond to everything during those times. But yeah, if a resident lets me know that there's a problem, I want to know. So yeah, I'll provide that to anybody that needs it after this meeting.
Well, it sounds like that will be resolved, so be patient. It's gonna take a little time. The wheels have begun to turn though, so that's some good news, I think.
But feel free to check in with me and ask for an update. You know, I might be able to tell you in a couple of weeks, those lights are scheduled to be done in 4 weeks. We've got parts ordered or something. So yeah, feel free to reach out.
Awesome, great.
So can I make a comment? The Marina Police Department is doing a very good job of informing the public on activities that they are taking care of, whether issues that are being resolved or asking for public input to help solve issues. And so that might be something that Public Works, our department would want to consider. I see it on Facebook, but that may be something when you guys either are going to start something and say, we're focusing on this, or an update as to what projects have been completed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
So
It's
we,
really good information from the police, and I applaud them for that effort.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I actually just met with staff this morning. One of the items on our meeting agenda was using social media posts. I want to post before and after pictures when our staff is out there doing something. We're starting, so for the public that is here for the first time tonight, the first Monday in March will be My Marina Monday. And our staff will be out in neighborhoods doing the things that they normally don't have time for because they're working on bigger projects. So they're gonna be doing little things like straightening up bent signposts, removing the little Hello Kitty sticker from a stop sign that some kid jumped up and stamped on there, and a little weed eating touch up here and there. There's a lot of ice plant in this city, and a lot of times it grows over the sidewalks. We're going to be getting rid of that kind of stuff, and just what staff has been told is do the things that you would do in your own neighborhood, just to give you pride in your own neighborhood. So yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of things, and we want to post before and afters and let the public know what we're doing and that we care about the community.
Can I add on to the street light issue?
Please.
Thank you so much, like what you've been doing, so it seems like you've been acknowledged all the lights you need fix it. But do you have any additional new street light needed place?
So that's on my list, but that's down the road. That's chapter 8. We're on chapter 1 right now. Yeah. So in another city, we did a street light study. We brought in a consultant, and right now, streetlights here in Marina are probably spaced out. I haven't looked at the Marina's ordinance, but my guess is streetlights right now are 300 feet apart on alternating sides of the street. So that's what most cities are doing. Some are going to 200, but you go to old neighborhoods and you have one on each intersection, and that's it. So getting new streetlights installed is a city this size in the older neighborhoods could be $40 million. It's not just the poles and the equipment, it's all new PG&E connections and everything. So in those situations, solar is the way. Solar is a little bit more expensive to purchase, but it's easier to install. You don't have to deal with PG&E. Yeah, so it's a long-term goal of mine. And well, maybe midterm, 2 to 3 years, I'd like to start working on that.
That brings us to item 8, commissioners and staff informational reports. I don't think we have any. Item 9, correspondence is none. So we are done. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much for attending, and have a great evening, everybody.